Alright, new video. It's been a long time. A few weeks. But I've been busy. Very busy. Working on this map. This map. Okay. So, last time I showed everyone, I don't even think I had all the islands designed. But I've been very busy. This is the center, like Shadow King skull, cloud skull. I'm going to work on that a little bit more. Lava, forest. It's like Thieves' Hideout. I still need to color this skull. Death Mountain. And then this swamp area, which is going to get some unique colors. A little bit more green, darker greens in there to make them look a little bit better. But today, one more thing I need to show is Colosseums. There's a Colosseum there, Colosseum up here, clouds, lava Colosseum, water Colosseum, forest Colosseum, whatever. There's a Colosseum built into the head of the Thieves' Hideout dungeon boss. There's a mountain Colosseum over here. Probably my favorite Colosseum. This undead like graveyard Colosseum. So we have a graveyard over here and then this mental institution area. And I thought it'd be fun to just kind of copy the same idea with the graveyards from the left over here to the right. So you have like a water entrance and then this undead Colosseum with undead enemies themed appropriately. But what I'm going to be working on today, just take you guys along for the ride, is this Colosseum right here. Okay, I'll make this a little bit more apparent so it shows up. This Colosseum right here needs to be themed better. So the lava Colosseum down here has lava. We can just literally see the lava. And the water Colosseum down here, you can see it kind of spirals downwards. So we're getting a visual. The visual language is telling us like this is a Colosseum because it's circular and rounded like that, and it's unique because of the water. This is unique because of the lava. And since this is the first Colosseum that I intend the player to see, since they'll start here, this is like the base Colosseum. It's just an old Colosseum with like ruins in the back and stuff. So playing off this idea, this is a Colosseum because it's rounded. It may take people a little while to realize it, but I put a Colosseum in like a castle fort to kind of together because you have like these two castles over here. So it's this visual theme has been added to this visual theme, if that makes sense. And that has become this guy right here. So that's literally the visual language I'm trying to convey right here. This Colosseum over here has a mountain, and you're going to have to climb up and do things inside of this Colosseum on this mountainside. So it is themed appropriately, although I think it could be visually improved a little bit. Especially this ugly thing right here needs to be removed. Oof, that needs to go so bad. I don't know about the double bounce here. I don't necessarily like that. This is okay. I think it could probably be lighter, just because it doesn't need to be in shadow that much. But those are all things I could deal with later. This is themed appropriately because of the gravestones. But what I'm leading to is this is not themed appropriately. This is just some Colosseum that has a correct color in the sky, but it needs to have clouds inside of it. So what I'm going to do today, I was about to do it, and I was like, I should just record this. I'm going to add clouds to this, so that you kind of get the idea, the player gets the idea, that we are going to be on clouds. And the idea for clouds is really cool. I haven't implemented it in the game yet. I've just spent the last like 8 weeks working on this, but it's almost ready. So let's add some clouds. So I'm thinking like a cloud in here, kind of coming down, because we want this outline, like this outline, to contrast sharply with that. So we want the crossing lines to be like that pretty much. Then we'll grab this color of I think one of the things we're probably going to be missing here is we really need this ground to still show up, and since that is the color of the shadow of the cloud right here, what I'm going to do is use this shadow a little bit more aggressively to kind of tell people like, yeah, there's still a ground down there, but it's kind of like covered in shadow from the cloud. And I think that that'll work. I need to define that a little bit better, and that needs to come down. Get rid of all of that. So it kind of looks like there's a cloud that exists there. Get rid of this. Okay, I'm just kind of finish it off. So if we're looking at that, the cloud is kind of coming out of the middle there. Need to clean up these lines a little bit. That's a little too square for my liking. And there's more work that could be done down here to make this a little bit more rounded, for sure. Alright, so that's looking a little bit better. Kind of looks the way that I want the cloud to look. I'm looking at this cloud back here and I'm thinking that actually needs to go to like right there. That highlight could be much more aggressive too. Since all the other highlights nearby have the same visual. This one down here. Okay. This shadow needs to be carried throughout more. Okay. And I think that it would be a good idea to not have this kind of overlap. Like right here, this is this is terrible right here. This corner, like that needs to be rounded a lot. This needs to be rounded because what's happening here is we have shadow hitting just the main like color without the highlight, so this hasn't really defined any kind of form at all. So this needs to go over. And now we have this repeating pattern of boop, 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 which looks terrible. It looks stair-stepping. You know, get rid of that. So basically what I'm going to do now is grab this color, make it a little bit bigger, make like a larger, to break up that stair-step. Alright. I'm going to go back to a smaller brush and then bring it down. There we go. So we're breaking up that visual pattern, so it's just not repeating and boring like that. Because clouds are not repeating, and that's the only reason why. If we were drawing a staircase, we'd obviously just make it look like a staircase with that kind of repeating pattern. So we're going to need to deal with this monstrosity that's occurring right here. This highlight that's going off the edge of the cloud over here. See if I can grab a better color to make this more apparent. this highlight right here that's going on the right side of the cloud is not physically possible in this scene, because we've defined the sun as being pretty much right here and pointing that way. So this highlight is not possible. It looks terrible. Also, like, this looks good, but then we have like this thing going on, and clouds don't do that. Clouds don't just like linearly, diagonally go down like that. So that needs to be fixed, and we need to do it with this color, is what I'm saying. Just happened about right here. I think that it would probably be a good idea. Oops. There we go. If we had these two outlines not conflict as much, and by conflict I mean this one is still going down at too much of an angle for this one to kind of intersect like that. I should just set up a marking color. There we go. So this one goes down at this angle, and then this one comes across like that. It just doesn't make sense visually for this to do that. So that's what I mean by conflict. I think it should be more fluffier, because that's the visual style that we've defined. So if it comes across kind of like that, and then we bring in the shadow of the cloud to help with define the form, then we can kind of bring it back. I don't know. That's not exactly where I want that line to be, that color, because it should be about right here, so I only really need like this much, and that's not exactly what I want. On the other side, there we go. So I also don't like how this just kind of abruptly ends right here. I should go back to using my marking color. This, where this line kind of comes in and hits the Colosseum, doesn't look good. Needs to get rid of that. But first I need to finish the rest of this cloud. Like, this part is good, but what's happening over here is like it just kind of falls down into nothing, and then so I'm not particularly happy about that. I'm working the form of it. I'm also looking at these clouds and saying, like, this one has too much blue here, and I'm not seeing enough blue in others. So like, I want some blue here, I want some blue in here, I want blue to come up here, down there, just like that. This could use some more blue right in there. There's a lot of blue that's being used here. That is just too much. Way too much blue. We're gonna just kind of scoop a lot of that out. There we go. So at least we have something that seems like it's consistent visually. That's really what's going on here. That's why I'm doing all this. Okay, so there's that. There's that. And we can maybe apply a little bit of highlights right here. So grab this small brush again, put some highlights right here, maybe like a little bump right there to kind of break that up. Maybe a bump right there. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. So let's grab a blue, go back to the shadows, just kind of make myself some notes here so I remember what's going on. And I'll come back and go like, what the hell? Okay. So we'll fix those later on. It's from a larger, like a more zoomed out perspective. I'm trying to make decisions about the composition. That's what's going on right here. Okay, so I think I'll just cut this in with the C to kind of make a more clear picture of what's going on. So there's the blue. I need to follow through with this. There. This guy seems like some kind of highlight would be necessary, but not all the way back. There's that white, gray. Okay. And this is all going to become color later on, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's finish this. Well, this is still bugging the crap out of me. This needs to be more limited in its use with the color of blue. And maybe like a little, there we go. Right, so a little bit more blue right there. Keep this one a little bit lean. We don't want to alter the outline of this cloud too much, simply because I'm lazy, and that would affect the shadow. And I don't want to have to like sit there and mentally simulate what this form looks like and the shadow that it's going to cast again. I've done that a lot. Okay, so these clouds over here look really good in comparison to these. So there's a couple of visual tricks I'm going to go back to adding in. Maybe there's a little like suggestion of form over there. I know that the highlights over here are really kind of boring. They're closer to the sun in this mock scene, the sun being like right here and shining down. Oh yeah, I need to go back to marking color. The sun being up here and shining down. So that's why these highlights are much more bold. And then these are thinner. See over here? So I need to make that more consistent. Like these highlights are going to be super thick because the cloud is just so close to the sun. Then as you get further away, they get thinner. And then if I put clouds like over here, they would be very, very thin, like a razor thin cloud outline, just to keep that consistent. All right, so I need to finish off this cloud right here. And these blues are still bugging me just a little bit. These blues are bugging me a little bit, and there's just a lot of nothing right here that I need to fix. There could be better form here with the overlap. So let's go ahead and start tackling those problems. This big one just needs something like that to kind of help break it up. And I think that we will lose this guy. Kind of play that into this one that already exists. There we go. And then that's a strange shape for a cloud to make. Do something like okay, I don't like where this shadow is going because there's this cloud down. Well, I could make this a much smaller cloud. Do something like this. Yeah, it's a much smaller cloud now. Then we can kind of pretend like that this cloud is behind the rest of them. Just fill all that in, which is a lot. I might have issues with that later on because it's just one solid chunk. Kind of bring that over here. This, that. We need to reinforce that the blue is a shadow early on when they see the highlights. So, like highlights, if we don't have, dang it, I did it again with the marking color. There's the highlights. If we only see the highlights without any shadow, like right here, what's going on right here, we have highlights and then we have just regular color and then we have highlights again. There's no perception of depth. Like watch this. You just go bloop, bloop. Kind of fill that in. All of a sudden that cloud has depth because it has shadow now. So we need to keep that theme going here, and like this is bizarre. The way that this accidentally kind of came together is this is what's going to happen. I'm going to round that out. But like this and then passing through to here. Don't do that. Alright, so we'll I kind of need to resolve the way that this cloud is shaped with all of this stuff as well. So this is actually going to get, a lot of this is just going to get deleted. I have to kind of rethink this whole area. I do know that this needs to come out a little bit more to better define the cloud shape. That's for sure. I can just, oops, cannot do that apparently. Oh, because I'm on a whole nother layer. Yeah, I'm just gonna flatten that into color. Unlock it real quick. So I can't do this. But only on contiguous basis. Alright. So the shape of this cloud is just so bizarre. Unless I terminate this down into the cloud below it, I would have to continue that like over there. Which, I mean, it's not a bad shape and it helps to kind of separate these two, give them some depth. I think I might actually pursue that path. There we go. Over here. There we go. So if we follow that all the way down these highlights, we can make this cloud a little bit bigger. And then kind of determine where this cloud in the back ends. Right around in there, I want to say. And then we'll just fill out the rest of this shadow sea color. But then we're going to add in some blue, some of the sea blue, like right around in here, to just kind of suggest like some break in the cloud shadow, even though there's no real simulation going on like mentally to figure that out. Okay, so that'll come down in there, and we need to get this blue throughout this whole cloud. So this guy is going to have a bit of blue there, kind of rounding out these shapes. Kind of layer this back in. See, I don't necessarily know if that shadow's right though. More what I'm looking for is something like that. And then where the shadows kind of come together. I think, yeah, right. So there we've kind of added these shadows back in. I actually like how that gray kind of goes under there. That might be a new visual to go with, but I don't know. We will see. I'm just going to clean up these shadows real quick. It's making that cloud look a little bizarre. Okay. There we go. There's the other side of that. I don't know, maybe I'll make this cloud like really stupid with all those shadows right there. Okay. So, stupid as in like, this looks bad. I'm pretty sure that these shadows should not exist, and I'm going to need to fix that later on. When I zoom out, I'll check it. Alright, so that looks decent. This needs to be shaved back a little bit. This needs to be shaved back a little bit too. Get some really cool kind of like layering effects if we do this right. Like that. Over here, I need to define this better. Goes down, it's a little bit more rounded. Something like that. That seems alright. These are all gonna terminate in a more fluffy manner. Which, there's a joke there, but I'm not gonna make it. So working on these clouds, I think just adding in these kind of like layered lines, I think that'll do it. Alright. So I think that's fixed most of the problems that I had with the blue. One of the things I want to add in is like stuff like that. I don't know. That's cool. I might add like another cloud in there or something. But that kind of balances out the clouds between these two areas. On the left and on the right. Just trying to make these blue shadows look the same. And I do have a problem with that, but I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Like this looks a little busy and looks a little too heavy. Like I might go back and make those lines a little bit lighter. The dark blue lines right there. This is a big section of blue that looks bad. Probably should just overlap it real quick with another cloud. Kind of offset it a little bit. Like, okay, so we have a hump right here and a hump right here. So we want to put a hump about right there. So we stack these clouds in an interesting manner. Okay, so there's some highlights to work with. And we'll define the body of the cloud. I don't know, should it intersect the cloud below it? I don't know. I think eventually it should. Like that. And then the shadows. So just kind of build backwards. Something like that. Also means that we'll be getting rid of that outline, probably. Just kind of going with something that looks like that. And suggesting that it's gone into a shadow. Okay, so that looks like I need to get this all filled in. So I would accent the blue more. Accent it kind of coming up like that. One of the things I want to pay attention to is kind of lessening that line a little bit. And making this a little bit more floofier, for lack of a better term. Floofier. Okay. Expand that a little bit. I'm going to thin these lines and make them a little bit less, that'll work. Send them out. There we go. That's looking good. I might get rid of this thing. It's like cloud stub that's just hanging out. I don't know why. I don't know why I decided to design it like that. That's bad. But I'm not too concerned about it right now. Come back to that in a future update. But yeah, I added some clouds. Actually, I didn't even finish the cloud on the Colosseum. That's nice. So let's do that real quick. So to finish this out, cloud does need a little bit more. There we go. Form. So I think one of the things I want to visually convey with this is, like, if you see on the left, it has like a bump and then another bump and then a larger bump. Well, this bump kind of goes out and down a little bit. I'm doing the same thing over here on the right. So I think to finish this off, I want to give it another little bump so there's one on each side. You know, it's a little bit even. It's not exactly centered with the door, you know, but I think we do that and then like something like that. Give it some depth. I think that'll tell players, like, hey, you're entering the Cloud Colosseum. I mean, if you don't get that, it's not really my fault. Like, this is the Cloud Colosseum, guys. Oh, one thing I did kind of forget, and actually is my fault, besides finishing off these clouds over here. This Colosseum needs like stadium seating so they can watch the games. Know what I mean? Okay. And I think over here we can put in some highlights like that. As long as we don't touch the cloud outline, like we wouldn't take this would be bad. So you see how I'm adding like rounded lines like that to the edge to reinforce this idea of the Colosseum. If I was to take this line and continue it into the cloud, that would be bad. So what I'm trying to do is build a color border, basically. This is the color border for the cloud, and it is connected to either this color or the cloud blue color, but it would never touch this white color, which I'm using as a highlight on the seats inside of the Colosseum. I think that it would conflict. Now I'm allowing that to touch. Now, this is not as well done over here. I'm gonna need to fix this up in a future like polishing update. But I'm allowing it to touch just fine on the edge, like the rim of the Colosseum, where it's being lit by the sun. So I'm allowing that to happen. And I think that we could just go ahead and clean up the seating a little bit so that it's not so, there we go, blocky, like this down here. There we go. And expand that a little bit. So I see a highlight over here that doesn't make any sense. Like this highlight. It's not really the highlight, it's more the shadow. Like the shadow is creeping up along the side of the cloud like that. And I don't want that to happen. So we'll just define it like this. And I did it again. I did it again right here. Why I did that, I don't know. But it's wrong in the visual language that we're using. So I'll just carve that shadow a little bit more. So this needs to trail off, it doesn't need to be as strong. That one too. I think if we go straight down, this will be a good separation. Oh yeah, but it really should be like this almost, like shadow. And I'd probably want to shorten this a little bit too. And I wouldn't mind like bringing it over. It's like right there. And then expanding it a little bit. Okay. Nope, that one doesn't go. Because on that side, it doesn't have one, so keep it consistent. We've introduced this other color, this other brown, which is interesting. This is the only stone brown that's actually in the color, the cloud color palette. If I make this brush a little bit bigger, that brown doesn't belong in the clouds. It actually belongs right there. It's the second one. So it's part of the land palette, but because we've put it into this Colosseum, I think in a really subtle manner. I think it's kind of reminding us that, oh yeah, this is part of the land. So maybe if we brush it back in, into the like interior of the Colosseum, that'll help sell the idea that there's an interior to this and it's not just all clouds. There's actually stone there. I'm not going to go too wild with the shadows interior to the Colosseum, just because I think it's in the clouds, and there would be a lot of like white clouds in the sky, which would bounce a lot of light, and it would help to more globally illuminate everything. So I'm going to leave that there. I would like to see more of this color on the exterior of the Colosseum. You know, like if we could do something like this. I think that would make it look more like a building. Maybe I just need to define the outline of it a little bit more. Like if I come over here and I do that, I actually kind of need to end the outline right there. And then push this outline over here. I could even have this one kind of work its way in the darkness, just a little bit in the shadow. So, and I could probably do the same over here if I was real clever about it. Yeah, something like that. And then we need to cover this corner almost with blue, because it's not working out exactly the way I wanted it to. We'll put a blue light right there. So it just kind of hides the edge of it, because I don't want when you can see the edges of a Colosseum, it sits very flat. So I don't want people to be able to see that. So I'm hiding it just right there in the nook of those clouds, in the corner of those clouds. So, oof, this blue is ugly as just. Let's finish this up. Bring that in there. My bad. This is gonna expand out a bit. There we go. Get rid of that. That too. There. Okay. So it seems like there would be some cloud cover coming down, maybe like around this. Alright. And then we would have a way to define this better. Okay. I don't know how far I want to go with that, like, underlit gray rim light that I was doing right there. Kind of dial that back a little bit, increase the mass of this cloud. There we go. I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna eat soon. Alright. I'll keep polishing up these shadows real quick. And then, there we go. Just exactly how does that cloud exist? Like I'm crossing the, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of that shadow completely. Otherwise I'd have to kind of define exactly what this cloud is, and I don't want to do that. It looks like about 45 minutes worth of work just to add a cloud in there and fix some highlights. So you can see why it's taken me a while. It's taken me quite a while. I don't even know how long I've spent on this, but it's been a long time. And I still need to color all the mountains up there in the back. All these mountains need to be land colored. All these mountains need to be land colored. I kind of started here, but I don't like the way that it looks. They're too bright, so I think that I'm going to go with more of this style over here. More of this style of mountains. And then push those mountains kind of up to there, color-wise. And then over here. So I'm happy with the lava, and I'm pretty happy with the forest. I'm working on Thieves' Den a little bit more, and I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna work on the skull a little bit more because I don't like how the shadow transitions into the bone down here. It may just be all shadow. I may add more of the bone back in, you know, to where like the bone comes up and goes like over his nose or something, and you have to like climb up that. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm stopping for now. Thanks for watching.